I figured now would be a good time to talk about trellising all kind of vegetable plants. How can you do it? Why would you do it? And what are the trellising options? Let's get started. What's going on, my plant people? I am the ADHD gardener where I use gardening, houseplants, and humor as a form of therapy, and I am in my cattle panel greenhouse. And this is the #1 trellising system that I love the most. Now, I came up with this idea because I used to use stakes and whatnot to keep up my plants, but I didn't find that as effective as I wanted it to be. Not saying that it's not effective, because it is. However, I just wanted something a little more stable and not wavering or anything like that. So this is why I built the greenhouse, but it's also going to act as a trellis system. And that's how I designed this greenhouse. So eventually this plastic will come off of my greenhouse and it will expose the trellis. I have another cattle panel greenhouse I'm going to show you too, without the plastic, so you can see what it would look like off. Now, why would you even trellis outside in the vegetable garden in the first place? Now, if you've seen my part 1 to trellising or vining plants, is because there are some vegetables as well as house plants that love to vine and climb. Now, the vining plants would be like cucumbers, peas, string beans. Even tomatoes can trellis. Yes, they can if they're indeterminate, which I'm going to try this year anyway. But there's a lot of vining stuff. I like to go vertical with trellis systems because it saves space. And if you have a limited amount of space, you want to utilize every single inch of that space that you got. And going vertical up, is going vertical the right way of saying it? But going up is the way to go. Definitely a space saver, and it is awesome for the plants. You get to grow a lot more because it doesn't take up a lot of ground cover. As you can see here, I have different varieties of sugar snap peas and regular peas. Now, the reason why I love this trellis system so much is because each pea plant is going to vine up. There is no need for me to plant any stakes or anything like that. This is going to be awesome. Basically, you can trellis and vine off of anything. You can vine off of a hoop house. You take off the plastic, you plant some peas or anything that vines, and let it vine all the way up and around. That is definitely another option. I told you I have a second one, and look, this is what it is. I have a second cattle panel greenhouse, but this is what it will look like without the plastic on. As you can see here, I arched the whole thing up. See, that's the greenhouse. See, that's greenhouse #1 with the plastic, and this is greenhouse #2 without the plastic. This is an awesome thing because not only can I plant right here in the middle of the beds, in the beginning of the beds, I put all the vining plants right by the trellis. I also have here my hoop houses, but what you can do is add chicken wire and connecting each hoop house and use that as a fence and a trellis. I did a little modification since the beginning, and look, I just added some string because what's going to happen is that this string is going to help trellis some stuff. And I have here some peas. Just because I'm using cattle panel does not mean I'm not utilizing good old-fashioned string. All right? I've strung up all of this area. It's just going to help not only keep my dog out, but trellis a bunch of vining stuff. See those 2 dogs over there? Oof. I always have to buy more fencing until I get them trained well, but I'm taking advantage of all this. I'm utilizing the fence, but I did, again, stakes and string, just so you can see a good old-fashioned tried and true method. Yes, I'm using it too, not only with just regular fencing, but let's say you don't have fencing, and let's say you don't have cattle panels. Good old-fashioned stakes and string will do it. I decided on cattle panels because I was tired of finding ways to trellis my plants, my squashes, my tomatoes, my peas, and all that stuff. Another idea is not only with the cattle panel and the hoop house, you can even use a carport. I know that sounds weird. I know that sounds weird, but I'm recycling a carport. That carport is going to act like another greenhouse in the future, but I'm going to wrap the poles and maybe the poles in between with fencing so it can act as another trellis. You can also buy these trellising systems right here, but as you see, it's made of wood and you can technically make that yourself. Why even buy it? You can use branches from a tree and use that as a stake. The next out of the box thing, but yet highly effective, is tree branches. I know that sounds weird, but if you had to cut down a tree, my boyfriend came out here the other day and cut down this tree because it was blocking the sun from my garden. And what am I gonna do with this big ass tree stump here? What am I gonna do with that? I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down into pieces like this, shave off the ends of it, make it a little more pointy, and I'm gonna stab it into the ground. And this is gonna act as my stake for tomatoes, stake for peppers. Come on, Chippy. Oh, my puppy. Look at him, he's chilling. Now, I've definitely done this before too, numerous times. Think outside the box, man. Remember when I was saying that you can use branches as a freaking trellis thing option for your peas? Man, look, I got peas right there. I'm not gonna use the branches like this that are just leaning for heavy stuff. These are for light vining vegetables. You don't need to, I mean, you could use it as a tomato because I have done that. Yes, I have, but you gotta hammer it in. But if you don't wanna hammer it in, just use it for your light stuff. Okay, yeah, I know. Poles is an option. Metal poles is an option too. I'm using this for light vining stuff. I'm utilizing everything because why not? I did not buy that. That was given to me, or I found it, who knows what it was, but I don't use that. I mean, you can trellis with it, that's true, which is why I leave it toward a fence. So, I mean, it's not like it doesn't have a purpose. It's just, you know what, to me, it's all right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it, buy some peas so it can just vine up. There's no one set way, or there's no one set rules when it comes to trellis systems. You can use anything that will support your veggie going up or going around anything off of the ground. Some vegetables like squash can take up so much space, and that is why I really utilize a lot of fencing, because that is where I'm gonna trellis it all. I mean, there's no need to take up a lot of space on the ground. I got another genius idea, thinking outside the box. I am big on recycling. I'm big on reusing stuff like that. I'm not trying to spend a lot of money. So what I have here are what are these? Window bars. Yeah, window bars. These heavy metal iron window bars, we brought them from Newark. Yeah, I come from the inner city and we all had window bars on our windows because, you know, safety and security, they're very heavy. But what I have done is I've put 2 and 2 together, almost like a teepee. They kind of like interlock on top, and I just let my squash vine all up on it. They're heavy, so you may want to get somebody to do it. This is a small scale of what I'm talking about with the iron. I also went onto Facebook Marketplace, and there's always people selling stuff, giving away stuff, extra stuff. So what I did was you take them and you tie it. As you can see, you tie them from the top. And now not only can you grow on the bottom, but you can grow and trellis all up on this. That's exactly what you're gonna do with those iron window bars as well. They're gonna interlock on top. You just secure it with a little string or something, and bam, there you go. Simple, easy, recyclable stuff. There's no one set way of doing this. This is the beauty of gardening. Nobody has to do it one set way. I'm not much on following rules. I like to do my own thing, and this is a perfect option of getting your creativity on and finding different ways of trellising. Anything could be used as a trellis system, man. Just think about it. Everything I showed you, I've used. And as with over the years, you kind of learn what works as a trellis system, what doesn't really work. Fencing works out great too, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. Trial and error, you use what you have. I'm not going to the store, I ain't got no money, I'm using what I have. If I had to cut down a damn tree already, I'm gonna chop down that branch and I'm gonna use that as a stake. Anything is possible, just use your imagination. That's the beauty of gardening. There's no one set rule. Now, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, then don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. Also, if you want to see more content like this on gardening, houseplants, and humor as a form of mental health therapy, then consider subscribing. I drop a video every week and then some in between. Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm on Facebook every day. I share a lot of memes. That's where my humor comes out. Also, a lot of side projects and everything. So stay tuned for that. And on that note, I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace and love.